Hello and welcome to this session on frequently asked queries reaching Tally.ERP on release 5. In this video, we will be covering FAQs on VAT module. So let us see the first FAQ that we are going to cover. After updating to release 5, VAT is not getting calculated automatically. What to do? So let us see this in the product in release 5. So this is a common scenario, common query that reaches us, which says that after you update to release 5, the VAT configurations which you had done are not getting calculated automatically. So in release 5, we have changed the entire statutory module. We have updated it, and you only require a one-time configuration to be done so as to continue with your configuration and transactions in a much easier and transparent manner. So we will now see in Tally. This is a company which I have just migrated to release 5. So now if I pass a transaction, the configurations which were there in release 4.9 will not come in this company. So now let us see how we can start with configuration. So the first thing you have to see is what is the VAT rate that is applicable on your items. If all the items in your company are taxable at a single VAT rate, then you can first go to F11, Statutory and Taxation, that is F3. VAT is enabled. Set or alter VAT details, make it yes. Ensure that the correct state is selected, TIN number, and come here, set or alter tax or rate details, make it yes. Now you have to specify the tax rate here. So the tax rate that you specify here will be applicable to all the items in the company. So if also another scenario is where most of the items in your company are taxable at one rate, and there are a few unique items which are taxed at a different rate. Even in that scenario, you can configure the most common rate at the company level, and you can override this rate at the stock group or stock item level. So in this way, you can configure, say I configure 14.5% VAT rate at the company level. Next, if you have created stock groups, you can configure at the stock group level, or if you want to configure at a single item level, you can configure at the item level. So why this is given is because now there is no need for you to go and select a classification at every transaction level, or you also don't need to select configure a single rate at each item level also. So if you have a single VAT rate, you can just configure it once in your company and your configuration is done. If you have multiple rates, then and if you have stock groups created according to rates, then you can configure at the group level also. From release 5.1, we have given a new report called tax rate setup, which is for you to easily identify the rate at which your items were taxed in release till release 4.9. So for that, you can come to inventory info, tax rate setup, VAT, and here you can see in this period, that is from 1st Jan to 31st March, what is the rate at which these items have been taxed. So you can see this entire group of Anabond has been taxed at a single rate of 5%, whereas lubricants, another group, is taxed at a rate of 14%. So now you do not need to set this 5% VAT rate at each item level. You can set it at the stock group level itself. For more information on how to configure these rates using tax rate setup feature that we have provided from release 5.1, you can always refer our help documents or KB articles, that is knowledge base articles. So for that you can click on help, and you can see your VAT rate setups, the help appears, and here you will find detailed steps on how to configure the VAT rates using this feature of tax rate setup. So using this you can quickly configure the VAT rates that were applicable previously in 4.93, but you will be able to configure it in a much simpler and quicker way. So this is how you configure VAT rates using tax rate setup tool. So in this way you can configure the VAT rates, and another option that you have to configure rates in VAT and continue with your transactions is going to your triangulation report. This is a new report that is introduced in release 5 to give you a 360-degree view of your VAT reports. So we'll go to display, statutory reports, VAT, and this is for Rajasthan, so form VAT 10. So you can see here that in this period, that is 1st Jan to 31st March 2015, we had around 1400 total that is 1448 total number of transactions. Out of these, included transactions are only 4, and out of which non-annexure, that is which have not been included in annexures, are 4. Excluded are 792 and uncertain are 652. So after you migrate your data to release 5, in VAT, because the configurations are not carried forward, most of your transactions will go and sit in uncertain transactions. So once you drill down here, you will see the different types of errors, that is exceptions that are there, and you will need to configure it accordingly. So for each of these errors you can get information on how to resolve them in our help documents. Also our knowledge base article, you have a knowledge base article of release 5 dashboard where you can click on VAT to go to VAT articles, and here detailed information on tax rate setup and how to's, and also in triangulation for each error type how you can resolve the errors is given. So you can refer them and configure accordingly in your data. So I'll just show you one as a scenario. So we have 53 transactions in unable to determine duty type of ledger. Once we drill down, we will see the ledgers. So this is a very quick configuration. So you can see that these are output and input VAT ledgers. So you can select both of them and click Alt S, set duty type. So we selected it with using spacebar, and we click Alt S, and we just have to select what is the type of duty. So since this is VAT, I will select VAT and I will accept it. Once it is done, we will go back to triangulation report, and you can see the error is cleared, and you've got another error, another exception, where you drill down and again you clear these uncertain transactions. So then once all these uncertain transactions are cleared, that will mean that all your configurations are also done and you can proceed with your transactions. So let us go back to the FAQs. So I hope we are clear with this. Once you update to release 5, the configurations that you had done earlier in VAT, that is the VAT classifications, are not carried forward, and which is why VAT will not get calculated automatically. You will need to do a one-step configuration, and why we have given this is so that your configuration and your future change of VAT rate all can be handled very easily. So now you can configure VAT rate at the company level, you can configure VAT rate at the group level, and you can also configure at the each stock item level. So the complete flexibility has been given. Depending on your stock items and the rates that are applicable, you can update them. So let us move to the next FAQ, which is how to define multiple MRP for a stock item and how to define state-wise MRP for a stock item. So let us now move to the product and see how we can define multiple MRP for a single stock item and state-wise MRP for a stock item. So this is a company I have created, which is ABC Company. So we'll go to F11 and check the configurations. I have enabled VAT. I have selected my state as Karnataka, and I have specified a VAT rate of 4%, which is applicable from 1st April 2015. So now we will go and specify multiple MRP in a single stock item. So let us go to Inventory Info, Stock Items. This is my item. So first of all, click F12 and you have to enable Allow MRP or Marginal for Stock Items. So enable this. Now set or alter MRP details. Here you can specify your MRP rate. So say today, that is 18th November, you have the item MRP is 100 rupees. So you will specify 100 rupees. So this will automatically take the first date of your company, or the date as on which your company is, the books are beginning from. So you can always change the date. Go to alter details, and I am saying 18th November 2015, MRP rate is 100. Say your MRP rate gets changed, which is the scenario where you have to define multiple MRP for a single stock item. So say on 1st December, it's going to change to 200 rupees. So in this way, for one single stock item, you are specifying multiple MRP. Once you specify this MRP, you can use this anywhere in your voucher, and depending on the date from which it is applicable, when you pass the voucher, the same MRP will be picked up. The next question was how to define state-wise MRP for a stock item. So you have scenarios, say, where a packet of chips, you are going to sell it for a particular rate, say 10 rupees in Karnataka. You might be selling it for 11 rupees in other states. So how to configure different MRP depending on the state? So for that, you will come to set or alter MRP details. Yes, this is where you specify your MRP. Here you click F12. You will get the option Allow State-wise MRP. You make it yes, and here you can select your state. So here you can give the date also. So say from 1st April 2015 this is, and for the state of Karnataka, this item MRP is 100. But for the same date, 1st April 2015, now I am going to say that for Tamil Nadu, it is for 200 rupees, and for all other states it is for 300 rupees. So in this way you can see, as on the same date itself, for the same period, I have given different MRP for different states. Now depending on the state which is configured in the party ledger, the MRP will be picked up. So let us see this now. So let us pass a voucher now. Now this is my customer ledger. Once we will verify the state. So this customer is in Karnataka itself. Sales ledger and item. So you can see, because my customer is from Karnataka, the MRP has been picked up as 100. Now if you want to configure for VAT to be calculated on the MRP, you can go down, drill down to the item. set or alter VAT details, and you can enable to calculate VAT on MRP. When you enable this, your VAT amount will be calculated on the MRP and not the sale value. And you can also specify if the MRP is inclusive of VAT. So I hope this was clear. That is how to define multiple MRP for a stock item, where on different dates you have different MRP that is being configured for the same stock item. You have to go to the item alteration and define the multiple MRP. How to define state-wise MRP, where for the same period you would be charging different MRP for different state. So you have to go to the item alteration and specify this state-wise MRP. So I hope this is clear. We will move to the next FAQ, which is how to get H form while passing VAT entry. So as you might be aware that H form is, you get it for interstate deemed export. When the classification is deemed exports, you will get H form. You have to get or you have to give a H form. So for this, when you are passing the voucher, you select the and ensure that the correct classification is tagged to the sales ledger. So let us create a sales ledger. So I have named it as deemed export sales accounts, and here in nature of transaction I will select interstate deemed export, and you can give from which date this is applicable. So for me it is applicable from 1st April 2015. And I will create a party also, say Tamil Nadu customer, regular dealer, and sales or purchases against Form C. Yes. Now let us pass a voucher. So I am selling to my Tamil Nadu customer, and it's a deemed export sale. Now I have passed the voucher. To get the H form, you have to enable this, provide VAT details, make it as yes, and here you will automatically get form to receive as H form. You just have to select it and specify the details. So to get H form in your purchase or your sale, ensure that in the sales ledger the classification or the nature of transaction is selected as deemed export, interstate deemed export. So I hope you were able to understand this H form while passing VAT entry. Let us move to the next FAQ, how to calculate VAT on quantity for Rajasthan. So we have this feature of VAT on quantity for Rajasthan state. So we will see this. So I will create a company for Rajasthan. State is Rajasthan. We'll go to F11, F3, enable VAT, set or alter VAT details. State is picked up as Rajasthan, and you have VAT on quantity. So you can specify the rate, that is say 4%, and this is the option which you have to ensure to enable, which is enable VAT on quantity. So you make it as yes. and you accept it. Now let us create an item. Set or alter VAT details, make it as yes. Calculation type, select it as on quantity, and from which date this is applicable, and what is your tax rate, that is per number, what is the tax that is being charged. So let us say 2 rupees is the tax per number. So you have configured for VAT on quantity in the item. So this is the only configuration that is required. First in F11 enable VAT on quantity, and next in item enable that VAT should be on quantity and give the tax rate. So let us pass a voucher now. Say my customer, which is Parth, sundry debtors. Select the state and specify the VAT details. So say I am selling 2 numbers at the rate of 300 rupees. So let us see on what value the VAT is getting calculated. So I am creating my VAT ledger, and my VAT is 4 rupees. So let us see how this has been calculated. From the voucher itself, you get a detailed view of how your VAT or whichever stat, your VAT, TDS, excise, how the value is arrived at. For that, you can click on Tax Analysis Report. Here you can see we have configured 2 rupees as the tax per number. So 2 is the assessable value, on that tax rate is 2 per number, so the duty value is 4 rupees. So in this way you get the detailed view of how the VAT amount has been calculated. So this is how you configure and pass transaction for VAT on quantity for Rajasthan state. I hope this was clear. Next FA, commodity code for a stock group. So now this customer has a stock group where he has specified the VAT rate, etc., all the details, and he wants to specify the commodity code. So let us go back to Tally. Now in a stock group, I am creating a stock group, say electronics. You have to go here, set or alter VAT details, make it as yes. So this is where you will specify the VAT rate that is applicable to the group. If you want to specify commodity code and other details, click F12. F12 configure and enable this, provide commodity details as yes. When you enable that, you can specify the commodity name and commodity code in the stock group. So to all the items that are grouped under this stock group, this commodity name and commodity code will be applicable. So how it helps is that you do not need to go to each stock item and configure these details. Next, in my company 2 VAT rates are applicable, that is 12.5% and 5%. How to configure for this? So this is a very common scenario that in a company there are multiple VAT rates that are applicable. As we had covered in the previous session, when you have different rates, according to the grouping and according to the data that you have maintained in your company, you can configure it. If you have different stock groups, as I had shown, you can go to the stock group and specify the VAT rate and other details here. If you do not have stock groups, or the stock groups are not created according to the VAT rate, then you can go to the individual stock items and configure the VAT rate. So for that, ensure that VAT is applicable and set or alter VAT details as yes, and here you can specify on value or on quantity and specify your tax rate. So this is how you can configure multiple VAT rates. And this is in the question it is just 2, but in a real life scenario it could be many. So this is how you can configure multiple VAT rates. You can configure the most common rate at the company level in F11, F3. Here you can configure in stock groups and stock items. Also, an important point that you have to note is the hierarchy. So if you have specified, say, a rate of 2% VAT in the stock item, and you have specified a rate of 4% VAT in the stock group, in the transaction the 2% rate which is specified in the stock item will be picked up. Also, another point that you have to ensure is your sales ledger configuration. So even in the sales ledger, the provision has been given to configure the rate. So ensure that the rate and other VAT details are not clashing with the configuration in the item. So if they clash, if these details clash, for example, say I have configured VAT rate of 5% in my sales ledger, and I have configured a VAT rate of 14.5% at the stock item. Then in the transaction, my sales ledger will take precedence and the rate which is specified in the sales ledger will be applicable. So the hierarchy from which the rate will be picked up in your transaction is: first your sales ledger, whatever is configured in your sales ledger; next is stock item; the next is stock group, and the last tally will check is company configuration. So in this company, two VAT rates are applicable. The customer can configure according to his details, as in if he is maintaining two different stock groups, he can configure in the stock group. If it is two items, then you can configure in the item. If most of the items are taxed at 12.5% VAT rate and a few items are taxed at 5%, then you can configure 12.5% at the company level and 5% in those few items that are taxed at 5% VAT rate. Next FAQ: how to pass sales entry for works contract from release 5. So for works contract, again you have to ensure that the correct classification is selected in the relevant sales ledger. Let us create a ledger for works contract sale. Set or alter VAT details. Here you have to select works contract. So if it is sales works contract, select the classification and give the date of applicability. It's as easy as that. And you can specify the rate also if you want in the sales ledger. So I will specify the rate that is applicable in the sales ledger. You can now go and pass your transactions. So my customer, I will select the correct sales ledger in my transaction, and I will also create a new item because the previous item was taxed on quantity. So I will create an item, say fridge, that's it. Here, because my classification has been selected as sales works contract, you get the screen where you can give your deduction percentage for labor charges. So you can give your deduction, say 10%, and your VAT gets calculated on the resulting amount. So this is the only configuration, and you can see that once you define your classification in the respective sales ledger, in your transaction you do not need to make any new configurations or enter any value. You just need to select your sales ledger, your party ledger and your item, and your VAT gets calculated automatically. The next FAQ: how to override the assessable value while recording purchase entry in voucher mode. So the customer is recording a purchase entry in voucher mode and he wants to override the assessable value. So let us pass a purchase entry. I have passed a purchase entry. Now to override the assessable value, ensure that in purchase ledger, inventory values are affected is set as no. Once this is done, click F12. This option allows modification of tax details for VAT. Ensure that this is yes. Now you will get the screen of tax classification details. Here click F12. You will get the option allow override assessable value. Make it yes, and here now you can specify the assessable value that you want to specify. The next FAQ, I am from Haryana. Should I update to release 5? So a customer from Haryana is asking whether they should update to release 5. So Haryana forms and annexures have been supported in release 5 from release 5.2. So the customer can be suggested that they can update to any release from release 5.2 and above. Next FAQ, how to configure multiple VAT rates for a single item. That is, during purchase VAT rate is 5%, but during sales the same item is sold at a VAT rate of 12.5%. So this is a very rare scenario where the same item will be purchased at one rate and sold at another rate. This could happen when, say, you are selling to some different type of unit for which the rate which is defined is different, or you could, or for this in some states for the same item different VAT rates could be applicable, where for example for marble a manufacturer would be charging a different VAT rate and a trader would be charging a different VAT rate. So in these kind of exceptional scenarios, you can configure the particular generally used VAT rate at the item level and override it at the transaction level. Let us see this. So say I will define $5% at the item level. And if you are making a sale which is not at that rate and it is an exceptional scenario where it is being charged at a different VAT rate. So these could be just very rare scenarios, and when it's a rare scenario you can click F12 in that particular transaction and give a different rate. So you will go to allow modification of tax details for VAT, make it yes. Now here you can select the classification sales taxable and F12. Here you get an option of override tax rate. So you can make it yes and you can specify the different VAT rate. So say 14.5% in this, then VAT will be calculated at that rate in that particular voucher. Whereas for if you pass it next transaction, still the VAT rate will remain what has been configured at the item level. So when you have such rare scenarios which are not very common, then you can override the rate by clicking F12, allow modification of tax details for VAT, make it yes, from the item, when you press enter, you will get an option override tax rate, and here you can define the different rate that you are going to charge in the particular voucher. So you will get the screen showing that the tax details are modified, that is, it is not matching with what is configured in the item. So now this FAQ is cleared. Next, how to remove uncertain transactions from triangulation report. So this we had seen it in the beginning of the session also. For this, let us go back to Tally. Let us go to triangulation report, which is you go to the form display, statutory reports, VAT, form VAT 10, and you can, this is your uncertain transactions. These are the transactions where there has been a mismatch or where the configuration has not been done. So let us see. Now we have passed 3 transactions. Out of them there's one transaction which is uncertain. So you can see there is a mismatch in tax amount. So like this you will get different types of exceptions which could arise. Now your transactions could fall under any exception. You can drill down to the particular exception and solve the exception. That is how you solve this. So I have a mismatch in tax amount. You can see now this was a transaction where in the transaction I have specified 14.5% rate, whereas as per the calculation VAT amount should be 5 rupees. So there is a difference. But in this case I know that I have done it intentionally, that there is no error in the voucher. If you want, you can drill down to the voucher and re-verify the details. Once you re-verify, you can, these are all the options that you have. One thing, you can exclude the voucher from this from your VAT computation. You can accept it as it is. This is a very rare scenario which you will use accept as is. For example, in this scenario where you know that the VAT calculation is correct, so you are going to accept the transaction as it is. But many a times this will show you where there has been an error in calculation. At that time you can drill down and re-verify your configuration and what you have entered in the transaction. So now, because I know this transaction is correct, I will accept it as it is. You also have other options to create an adjustment voucher for the difference and link any existing adjustment voucher. So I will accept it as it is. Now you can see my uncertain transactions are cleared. So in this way, for each error type, you can clear the exception and it will become 0. Next FAQ, in release 4.9x, 10 transactions are displaying in annexures. On loading the same data in release 5, only few transactions are displaying as annexure ready. Why? So this is annexure ready, annexure errors and non-annexure vouchers. So what the customer is saying is that earlier in 4.93 in the same data I was getting, say there were 3 transactions and I was getting all of them automatically in annexure ready, but now those are not coming. Why? So first, when you get this kind of a discrepancy, first what you should check is uncertain transactions, because in 4.93 we did not have this facility to re-verify our returns, and that is the main feature of triangulation, where you can ensure that your returns are completely error free. So you get a complete report of total how many transactions you passed, how many of them are included, how many are excluded from VAT computation, and how many are uncertain. And you can drill down and verify that all the transactions which are necessary are included with the correct details. And once you configure, anything that does not match with the configuration goes into uncertain transactions. So in this way, this feature of verifying the returns and ensuring that it is error free was not there in 4.93, which is why in this kind of a scenario, first ensure that your uncertain transactions are 0. Once you ensure that, then this will match. And then if you have any annexure errors, for example in this I have got 3 transactions which is showing annexure errors. In form 7 there is a voucher with error. Let us see what is the error. When I drill down, it says that I have not specified the TIN number, which is why it is giving this error. Once I specify all these details, it will go into annexure ready. So when you get this kind of a discrepancy, ensure to check your uncertain transactions and your annexure errors. Also ensure to check excluded transactions, because sometimes a transaction, a VAT transaction, if you have passed it incorrectly, it could be excluded. In that case, make a note of all the excluded transactions so that you are sure that all the relevant transactions have been included. Now, next FAQ is, can I do e-UPass Karnataka? That is the e-filing of Karnataka VAT returns in release 5. So e-UPass, which was direct upload, which we had supported in release 4.9, that is not possible right now because the department has introduced captcha feature. So by this captcha feature, the user has to log into their portal and upload the returns, and which is why we have given the facility to users to export their returns and upload them by themselves. Before captcha was introduced, we had given the feature of direct upload, where you could directly upload returns exported from Tally into the department portal. Since captcha is introduced right now, that is not possible. What you will have to do is, you will have to export the returns, and you can log into your portal and upload your returns. A detailed document is available on this in our help as well as our KB. So you can refer this for the step-by-step procedure to upload your returns. But for the question, can I do e-UPass? Yes, you can still do. Only thing is, because captcha is introduced, you cannot directly upload the returns from Tally. You can export your return, ensure that it is error free, and upload it in your, just log into your portal and upload it. Next FAQ, when VAT annexures are uploaded directly from Tally for Karnataka, error message is displaying as login failed. Why? So again, this error comes after this captcha has been introduced. So if you try for direct upload, and if you enter your portal details in Tally and try for direct upload, it gives the error as login failed, because you need to enter a captcha code and log in to the portal from their website. So which is why you cannot directly upload Karnataka VAT returns. You can export the returns in Excel or XML format and upload them in your portal. On entering form 50 for Rajasthan, I am getting the message as status of the form should not be blank. So what to do in this regard? So for Rajasthan, when you enter on form 50, why you will get that error is, you have to ensure that in your voucher. So I will pass a voucher now. Ensure that you make this option, provide VAT details, yes, and you have to give the details of your point of sale. That is, whether it's the first point, second point, or third point, or not applicable. Unless you select this, then the form 50 details will be blank. So which is why you will get this error. So select the point of sale and save your transaction. So for customers who are getting this error, ensure that you give the point of sale in your voucher. On making stat payment from triangulation report, amount is not getting captured automatically. So let us move to triangulation report. So I have a VAT payable right now of 19.5 rupees, and I want to make a stat payment from here. So as you can see, I'll make a stat payment, and you can see the amount gets captured automatically. So what if this amount is not captured automatically? How to troubleshoot that? So in this case, the first thing that you need to check again is, you have to ensure that your uncertain transactions are cleared, because then only you will be able to get a clear understanding of what is your correct VAT computation. So once you clear your uncertain transactions, check your excluded transactions. Ensure that if any transaction is excluded, it is correctly excluded. That is, it is not a VAT voucher. You have to ensure that. And also you have to come to your payment details. Now payment details, you get tax payments included and tax payments not included or uncertain. Also verify this, that there is no tax payment that has been excluded but which actually you have already made the payment. So ensure these details. Then next troubleshooting point is you have to check whether there is any VAT payable. So if there is a VAT refundable and you make a stat payment, the VAT amount will not get captured. Also you have to ensure whether you have made any excess payment. If you have made an excess payment, say I made a payment of 20 rupees for this, then if you click Alt S, again your VAT payable will not be captured because there is no payable. So these are few troubleshooting points in the case where when you're making a stat payment from the triangulation report and your VAT amount does not get captured automatically. In triangulation report, the option E return is hidden. Why? So this option is hidden for few users and the customer is asking why is it hidden. So first of all, the e-returns should be applicable for that state. For example, now for Rajasthan, e-returns is applicable, which is why this option is highlighted. If for a state e-returns is not applicable, then this option will not be highlighted. Next thing again that you have to check is that your triangulation is not planned. That is, there is a computation and there are included transactions, uncertain transactions are cleared, your computation should be complete. Another thing you should ensure is you save the return. So once your return is finalized, save the return and then your e-return option will be highlighted. In annexures, the commodity name or code is not displaying as per the details mentioned in the stock item. Why? So in such a scenario where you have mentioned the commodity name or code in a stock item but it is not displaying, then it means that the commodity name, code or VAT details are being picked up from the sales ledger. So first of all, in this scenario, ensure that the details have been entered in the stock item. That is your first point of check. So you have to go to your stock item, set or alter VAT details and ensure that commodity name and commodity code and VAT rate are specified. This is the first point of check. Next is whether something is overriding this rate. So what other configuration can override the rate that is specified in the stock item? It is your sales ledger, because Tally will first check what is there in the sales ledger. So whichever sales ledger is applicable in that voucher, you have to go to the sales ledger and ensure that either you don't mention any details, in which case it will be picked up from your item, or else if you have a sales ledger for that particular details of VAT, that is commodity name and code, ensure that they are same as what is given in the item. So if the sales ledger's commodity name and code are not the same, then you will face this issue where the commodity name and code will not display as per the details mentioned in the stock item. After upgrading from Tally.ERP 9 release 4.93 to 5, if there are any error messages in VAT form or e-return, what should we suggest the customer? So after upgrading, if a customer is getting any error message in the VAT form, then what should be the suggestion? So first of all, what you have to check is, again you have to ensure that your triangulation report is complete, because your return is just a reflection of your report, of your triangulation report. So you have to ensure that the correct transactions are included, the correct transactions are excluded, and there are no uncertain transactions. So this is your first point of check. Next, if there is any specific error message or error code which is being displayed, you can always check the reason for it in help or your knowledge base. So this is what you have to ensure. First, check that your triangulation report is complete, and next you can, if there is any specific error message, you can always refer a help. But in no case should a suggestion for rollback be given, because whatever latest changes and updates are have given, that is in release 5. So if you roll back, you will not be able to get these latest updates and latest changes. So ensure that whatever is required, you can make the changes in release 5 and you can get the changes in your returns also. So we are done with the FAQs on VAT. Hope this video was informative and helped you to gain a better understanding of VAT module in release 5. Thank you.